One, take -1 to the power -1.
Hi guys, my name is Mircea.
My name is Jan.
And today we're gonna talk to the co-founder of Wikipedia, Larry Sanger.
Yep, super interesting guy, just as Wikipedia is a super interesting organization. So interesting that it's the number 5 ranked website in the world. Mircea and I use it to look up many very interesting, useful and useless facts about almost anything.
And Larry's gonna tell us more about his vision on creation of companies, especially with regards to the younger generation, students, recent graduates, because before joining the creation of Wikipedia, he was a PhD by himself.
Yeah, and as such we think he is one of the perfect people to tell you about what it's like to found something super impactful with an impact so great that everyone uses your product almost on a daily or weekly or monthly basis everywhere in the world with nothing else than just an academic background. So we hope you enjoy.
Like, here's a great project for a student. If you haven't done it before, register your own domain name, write a project to put up there, and actually put it up there, and don't use like Wix or anything like that. You actually code it yourself from scratch. Don't use any sort of software that will code it for you. Actually write the HTML yourself. And it doesn't have to be fancy, and it doesn't have to use a database or anything like that. It could be just flat pages. That's fine, but you'll learn a lot from doing that. And if you're working on an internet startup and you can't do that, you're at a pretty big disadvantage in a lot of ways. Not in the sense that people are going to be judging you harshly because they know you haven't done that before or something. It's just that not having done all of those things, there's so much you won't understand about what's going on.
Maybe what do you see as interesting skills for students nowadays to have?
If you're interested in getting into an internet startup, obviously you have to have the skills associated with social media, and just like you don't have to execute an ambitious plan necessarily if all you're trying to do is learn about it. And basically, as much experience, broad experience you can get with different aspects of internet content production and technical production, the better. Another thing, in general, like it or not, for most tech startups, everything revolves around the engineers, right? Didn't necessarily used to be the case, but it is definitely the case now. And if it's a web startup or a mobile app startup, then everything revolves around the programmers and what they are doing. And in order to interact with them, and in order to understand what's going on and interpret what they are doing, if you're not a programmer yourself, it helps a lot to study programming.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Do you think it's essential for entrepreneurs to have technical skills like about computer science, AI, big data, all of that?
Not computer science so much. I mean, although that doesn't hurt, it isn't the most essential thing. I would say just going through a book or an online course, learning the basics of some introduction to programming.
So basically getting the sense of it.
Especially again if you're going to be like a web entrepreneur, then go through some course or a book that teaches you the variety of skills that are involved. I mean, I don't really see how you could get by in the world of internet startups without knowing HTML, for example. I just don't know how you would do it. So obviously you'd have to learn that. Potentially more important for you to know as like a non-technical co-founder is some of the more what the programmers call DevOps. Which basically is used to be called system administration, but now has more to do with interacting with cloud services like AWS, Amazon web service.
Would you change something to the educational system in order for students to learn this in school?
A lot of programming courses at universities are more theoretical and less hands-on, and what you really need for like the startup world is more practical, hands-on stuff. The university should be offering, of course, that like teaches you how to build your own website, and maybe a one semester introduction to what would it be? Python, I guess.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea. As a former non-technical founder, you have to have something essential to bring to the table, because if there is somebody who has the technical skills necessary to make a product, software, app, or internet, if you don't have skills that they don't have and that they know are essential, really essential, then why would they waste their time? Most programmers are, I think, relatively low key, but they can be abrupt and leave you out of important decisions because they think of them as being just technical decisions when they have really important business implications.
Yeah.
Right. So that you actually have to have something to bring to the table, and if you don't have specific skills, then you're pretty worthless to them.
Cool.
Yeah, they will think, and often wrongly, very wrongly, that they don't really need you. The reason they think that is, the reason that a programmer might think that is that he can create a website or an app without you. So it's just a basic fact. A successful business, as opposed to just a website, just some sort of piece of software, then there's a lot more. If you're serious about startups, then you know that, right? You know that there's all kinds of other stuff.
What's maybe one of the lessons, or one of the most important lessons you have from your experience in Wikipedia or other projects you've been in?
One thing is that it does help, even though sometimes people say this isn't such a great thing. I think it is to make a written plan. I don't mean a business plan, actually. I mean to explore the idea, almost like a philosophical paper. You're actually trying to persuade yourself and other people that something that you're working on is actually a defensible, rational idea. So you make the argument and you develop it and you address all the objections, everything you could possibly think of, where you make some sort of basic mock-up to test the idea and you get back that initial data. It's not just a little thing that you're supposed to do because it checks a box. It is the essential part of project planning. And if you don't do it, you're almost certainly going to fail, in my opinion. Unless the idea is somehow so obvious, and almost no idea is.
Agree.
If you make a better product, people will want to use it more. And you make the best product, then you won't have any trouble selling it.
But you still have to sell it, right?
Of course, absolutely.
Do you think maybe students or recent graduates should first work in an industry and then develop their idea, or should they just go for it? So would they first?
I think it depends on the industry, right? I mean, you wouldn't want to start an engineering startup without first being an engineer, I imagine. If what you're trying to do is like get into the startup scene, that's what I would do. Just inject yourself. Go to like meetups a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and then talk to people there, and go to co-working spaces. Work, just rent a desk at a co-working space, and start doing that. You've got interesting skills, not necessarily even technical skills, but interesting skills. You'll get roped in by someone eventually.
True. Yeah. And if you were a student at the moment, in which industry would you try to get involved?
I can't relate to people who like ask themselves, what industry should I go into? It's like either you like something or you don't. On the other hand, right, when you're making a decision between the things that you naturally gravitate toward, it is a good idea to find out, the future prospects of the industry, and getting a real good idea of what the next big thing is going to be, and then taking courses or doing projects or whatever that are centered around that. Once you've decided what you like in general, what like sort of captures your interest, then that's only then should you be asking yourself, okay, so what is the aspect of the industry, or what is the role, or what is the product type, or whatever that interests me, or rather that is getting has the biggest growth potential in the future. Because your career can be greatly enhanced by being part of an industry that is growing. You can write your ticket. There's so much money just waiting to be thrown at you, and that's because of the market now. That's because of the industry, right? But as a piece of personal advice to really anybody, but I suppose especially young people, it's just a terrible mistake to like chase down a career or a job of that sort just because the industry is hot.
Okay.
And if you don't like it, if you can't honestly say that you like it, if you feel like your life is meaningless when you're working on it, and you're just after it for the money, then run away. That is not what you should be doing.
Okay.
You just won't be happy.
Continuing with this, do you think success is maybe measured in money, or it's not?
Well, I mean, it's a philosophical question. Basically, you should do all you can to help the greatest number of people that you actually have a meaningful effect on. And if you're young, probably that means yourself and your immediate family members, and that's pretty much it. Because you don't have that much impact, unless you're a very unusual, accomplished, or whatever sort of person. And like if you're a CEO and you manage the careers of 100 people or something, and thousands of customers and whatnot, you have much greater responsibilities.
Something that we didn't touch upon. And do you think it's important for young people to take into account when stepping into entrepreneurship?
Getting into business or becoming an entrepreneur or going to the startup scene. It's more fruitful, it's more useful to think of what you're doing as pursuing a particular project or a particular vision. Like, you have to have a more specific vision that motivates you, gets you out of it, drives you. Or you actually want to develop a cure for cancer in a pill or something like that, right? They just love that idea so much. And okay, fine. You should learn everything that you can about what people are doing in that area, and if you've got any unique ideas about that you're really excited about, like directions, you think it's all about hormone therapy or something like that, then you should investigate that in depth and make sure that you're not off on a wild goose. Human life is consisting of many different people with visions of those sorts, and the real movers and shakers of history are the people who had what turned out to be, usually in hindsight, the best ideas. Maybe nobody knew in advance, even themselves didn't no idea what the best ideas were, but they had the best ideas. The ideas, time had come, and they executed on them. The startup world is all about innovation. It's all about doing something better and different from the way other people have done it. The only way to succeed at that is by, as I say, thinking things through, getting really excited, doing what you have really rationally persuaded yourself is going to work.
Two important questions that we didn't cover, very important. What's your favorite color?
I don't have a favorite color, man.
Oh, no.
I think I wear quite a bit of green, not today, but...
Yeah, okay. And then, favorite movie?
I really like It's a Wonderful Life.